Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Raymond here. I know. Where's Leigh? Well, I'm taking over Thursdays with 2 shows, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Now, before you freak out, this was not my decision. I listened to the boss. Now, I didn't say no, and I would have had the opportunity to do that. So we're trying it out, and this is kind of the first time on the channel that I'm producing my own shows from end to end. And you may have caught a Q&A video last week that I did with Leigh, and it went a little bit long. I just watched that video this morning to refresh myself, and it went a little bit long. But one thing she did say early in the video is she will be spending more time in these deeper artistic videos that she's been doing, which I think are great. And I might get a little more involved even on screen from day to day. So we'll see where it goes. I promise I won't bore you. Actually, okay, so 2 shows. One, I'm doing a quick show for everybody right now. And we love our patrons, channel members, and VIP members. So I'm doing a longer form show similar to what she often does on Mondays. I'm going to go ahead and do on Thursdays.
To see Raymond's weekly show for members in its entirety, click the join button below. If you don't see a join button, there's a link in the description. Then you'll see all of the member exclusive content in the community tab.
And one thing, and I'm trying not to go too deep into the 2 memory card thing today, but I do have a couple things that I want to talk about because, you know, about a month ago it was real hot when the Nikon Z7 was announced, and it's not an inexpensive camera. It's not as expensive as, say, a Nikon D5 or the Leica that we recently tested, but it's like, what, $3,400, and it's got 1 memory card slot. Now, I'm not here to debate that today. I know it might blow up in the comments, and that's fine. That's fine. It's completely fine. And I know we're maybe even a little over it right now, so I'm actually going to take a different angle on it. And this is obvious, is make your own decisions. There's a lot of professional influencers out there. Now, some might consider us that here on this channel. We try not to influence, we just try to share, and we certainly will share our opinions. So number 1, if someone else says it's important, 2 card slots or any other attribute of a camera, obviously keep in mind it may be very important to them, or they might have a reason why they're telling you it should be very important to you. Everybody with a YouTube channel talking about it certainly got a lot of attention in August, but obviously make sure that you make your own decision is what's important to you. I've got a camera here that I love, the X100F, and the reason I love this camera is the form factor, the fact that it keeps me in the moment, because I've pretty well set it. Obviously it has the nice manual controls and stuff, but I've pretty well set it where I control the aperture and the camera gets out of the way. In fact, when I'm in the mood for an optical viewfinder, it's got the optical viewfinder. When I want to see the final image in the viewfinder before I've even taken it, I use the electronic viewfinder, and it works great. In fact, this camera with its 1 memory card slot has done more for my photographic passion in the past few months than any piece of equipment that I've had for a long time. There's certainly things that trigger me in a good way to go out and take pictures, but often it's it's something besides the physical equipment. And this charming, wonderful piece of equipment has gotten me out in the moment and taking more pictures. And I never once during the purchase process, and we purchased this, never once during the purchase process or using it have I stopped and said, well, this isn't good, this isn't going to work for me because it only has 1 memory card slot, and it does. Now, obviously, keep in mind, what I'm not saying is that I go out and shoot like high-profile, once-in-a-lifetime events with this camera. Problems can happen, not just with memory cards. So let's talk about that a little bit. Years and years ago, this may have been before the channel started, I don't know, it was a long time ago. Leigh and I were shooting an event together. In fact, it was a wedding. And I don't remember who had which camera, but we had a D2X. We had probably wasn't even a D300S at that point. Well, we each had 2 camera bodies, and we each had a second camera body. And whichever one of us was shooting the D2X, the camera started locking up. I think it was me, might have been Leigh, I'm not sure. Camera started locking up. And whichever of us that was had a D50 with us. Now a D50 was like the entry-level camera at the time, but it was a second camera. It was set up with a second lens on it. One quick lens change during the ceremony. The groom asked me about it later. He's like, I saw you guys throw a camera into the bushes or something like that. And it's like, yeah, it stopped working. We had a spare ready to go, fully equipped. That was more valuable than any number of card slots or anything else. The whole second setup. A lens can go bad. In this case, it was the electronics in the camera, which were ultimately repaired, but not during that ceremony. Another couple things come to mind on that, and this is someone who lives in Virginia, an acquaintance of mine who works in the software industry. I was telling him about a trip that we took to the Grand Canyon, and he said, oh, I got married at the Grand Canyon. I said, that's phenomenal. You must have great pictures. And he said, I don't, because my house burned down a couple years later. And now he's in the software industry. I didn't give him a hard time. I mean, the guy's house had burned down just a couple of years before I was talking to him. So I expressed my my sorrow for the situation and stuff. But he didn't have anything off site, and he knows it. He's kicking himself now, of course, and I'm sure in really it's been so many years that he's kind of over it now. But it was very distressing for him to lose a lot of things, including many of the memories. And again, number of card slots wouldn't have mattered. I think he was shooting with a Nikon Z7. It was a while ago, and he's not going to have professional level bodies either. I think he had that D70 for a long time. And poof, the pictures were gone. Didn't matter how many card slots. It mattered what he was doing with the pictures as part of his workflow. Now, Leigh talked about the Synology system, the RAID, that we recently brought into the studio a couple weeks ago, and that's a really good on-site solution. But she also went through the off-site backups that she controls, and then the additional cloud backup as well through Amazon. So, and even a couple other different layers of protection that she has with a couple different time machines, local time machine on the Synology, etc. So I think it's good that a month ago we all got into the 1 versus 2 memory card slot debate, because it gets people thinking not only about what's going on when the images are being written in the camera in a bad card, but what happens next, and what happens when you're capturing the images at an important event or function when something besides a memory card goes wrong. A lens, the electronics in the camera body itself, or something completely different, something taking a tumble or getting something spilled on it or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to get on with the member portion in just a minute here, but the whole situation and this little guy, just to reiterate, just because I wanted to hold him or her, I can't tell the difference, him or her cameras, him or her one last time. This camera to me transcends the technical specifications. I'm not selling Fuji. We paid money, the full price for this camera from Amazon. But it's an important thing to remember when we're looking at different cameras is, how's it going to make you feel? Not just how is it going to function, especially if you're not shooting in those professional environments. I would shoot this in a professional environment with no hesitation. But I would have another camera ready, maybe not even the same camera, but a different camera ready to go in case there were problems. Well, what if you lose the images to that point? That can certainly happen. That's a risk that we all take. We take risks every minute of every day. There's a window out here with a whole world out there with a lot of risks and dangers. So I get it and I accept it. But there's so many other things that can go wrong. And in the same vein, if we're in a mode where we feel like we need to protect ourselves with 2 memory card slots, are we protecting ourselves in the other ways that we should, with the same level of robustness and applying the same level of scrutiny? Hey guys, I'm going to get on with the member show now. Thanks for spending a few minutes for everybody with me today. My show's going to get different. It's going to get better. It's not going to be the same every Thursday. I'm learning the process. In fact, I'm going to share that whole process with you. Whether I like it or not, Leigh's not helping me with this show. She's working on her other projects. That was kind of the deal as part of this is if she would need to take this on, well, then she wouldn't have as much time for those additional projects that she's taking on. So you get me and you get my work. Hopefully, as we meet from week to week, things will get better and better. And I encourage you to be as interactive as you'd like to be in the comments as well. All right, I'll talk to you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
To see Raymond's weekly show for members in its entirety, click the join button below. If you don't see a join button, there's a link in the description. Then you'll see all of the member exclusive content in the community tab.